a space where we merge science, spirituality, and psychology to help you achieve optimal health and wholeness. Hey there, welcome. I'm David Delgado, Integrative Health Practitioner, breathwork facilitator, meditation teacher, and most importantly, fellow traveler with you on this journey towards optimal health and wholeness. So you may be wondering, what on earth is an integrative health practitioner? Well, basically, if you go to the doctor, you feel unwell, and your blood work comes out fine, I'm usually helping those types of people. Most of those people have been ignored, harmed, or just simply left behind by the conventional medicine establishment. If this is you, go ahead and drop a comment below. As an integrative health practitioner, I combine the best of functional medicine, Ayurveda, and emotional healing modalities to deliver a truly integrative experience. I do this through what I like to call the de-stress protocol, which combines diet, exercise, stress reduction, toxin removal, rest, emotional balance, success mindset, and supplements. I help them rebalance their bodies by interweaving science, psychology, and spirituality in a grounded but potent way. I started out helping clients that suffered with issues similar to those that I had: chronic fatigue, brain fog, and other kind of mystery-based energy and mood-based conditions. But since then, I've actually broadened the scope of my practice significantly. So why did I create this podcast? After overcoming an 8-year battle with chronic fatigue and brain fog, I made it my life's mission to make sure that nobody suffers the way that I did in order to get well. And this podcast, in many ways, is an extension of that. I started this podcast because I observed a couple different patterns in my own healing journey and that of those that I worked with. The first one is that those facing chronic health issues are often pushed towards the path of personal development and spirituality. Once we've overcome chronic health issues, we are changed in a rather kind of irreversible way. We get pushed towards a certain depth and purpose in our lives that others who haven't really faced a chronic health challenge simply cannot understand. And I want to help you create a compass for living a life of depth and purpose. I feel science, spirituality, and psychology actually need one another in order to support true mind-body healing. Oftentimes they have this antagonistic relationship, like they're kind of up against one another. I didn't really see a space where science was thoughtfully integrated with spirituality and vice versa. So each community, whether it be spiritual or scientific, is deeply ideological and dismissive of one another, which ultimately does us a disservice. I aim to use each approach, whether it be scientific, psychological, or spiritual, in a way that doesn't dilute the depth of each modality or approach, but also honors when it is most appropriate. So kind of knowing that balance of when to use science, when to use spirituality. Another thing was noticing balancing complexity with practicality. So media and influencer culture are largely doing us a disservice when it comes to teaching natural health and personal development. So on the one hand, we have these very granular health science podcasts that go deep into the studies and oftentimes result in being a little bit overwhelming or taking studies out of context. And then we also have these very mainstream self-help, very cookie cutter holistic health advice, which really is a little bit oversimplifying certain challenges or kind of mapping everything to reducing stress or self-care or something like that. And both of these approaches are ultimately doing us a disservice. One is really at the surface and staying at the surface, while the other goes way too deep to really be useful for most people. So here at Healing with David, we have 3 pillars within the podcast. First, we have natural health guidance, protocols, and best practices. We go beyond surface level tips and discuss the principles and little known factors in functional medicine, Ayurveda, and other healing modalities to help you cross that bridge from helpful to healing. There are 2 types of episodes. There are going to be the full-on episodes where I'm going to be addressing one specific topic. And then there are also going to be what I like to call the community calls. The community calls are questions, very specific questions that are coming from people like you who are watching here on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, wherever you happen to be watching this. And the goal here is to answer a specific question in 2 to 5 minutes. If it requires a longer answer, then that's probably a good candidate for a full-fledged episode. And the idea there is not to just have a question answer, but rather to create a repertoire of specific answers to questions from people just like you so that others can benefit from those answers in the future. Next is inner game. So I found that a lot of information within natural health and personal development podcasts is largely operating at the level of the rational mind, so at the conscious level of mind. The problem with this is that when you are on a path towards self-actualization, a lot of our limiting beliefs, childhood programming, trauma is really what holds us back. And none of this is really at the level of the conscious mind. We may consciously want a particular goal, but we self-sabotage in a number of different ways, whether it be for physical or mental health. And so the idea here is to really address the mindsets, limiting beliefs, subconscious patterning, and everything else that contributes to us not realizing the highest or the best version of ourselves. We're going to be going into very pretty like brass tacks practical stuff like productivity, goal setting, how to organize our time and manage our life, because we all have to do that. But then we're also going to be going into more esoteric topics like the Akashic Records, human design, and other spiritual practices to support us when necessary. So ultimately, the goal here is for you to have a powerful and specifically curated toolbox or toolkit so that you can break free of whatever shell you're putting yourself in and ultimately shine your light upon the world. The last pillar is all around connection. My healing journey was definitely a lonely one. I didn't have anyone to talk to. I was certainly the outsider or misfit, and a lot of people thought I was, making this up or that it was in my head. I was confused, anxious, and even very depressed at times, and I certainly didn't have anyone to see or hear me in my experience. So the goal of this connection component is to really have vulnerable conversations where we really unearth the shared experiences that we're all living, but not really vocalizing or sharing in a meaningful way. I'm going to be bringing on people to the podcast who are going through healing journeys. They may be people with chronic illness. They may be healers themselves. But the common thread is really kind of focusing in on one aspect or one reality that I think many of us are experiencing within our healing journeys, and creating a space to feel seen and heard, but then also learning from people's experiences and how they got through them. So in order to be of highest service to you, I've created a system for creating and requesting content. If you're watching this on YouTube, you could go ahead and comment, and you may request to elaborate upon a specific concept. You can ask a question, but I also recognize that that's not very comfortable for everybody. So every video on YouTube is going to have a Google form where you could request an episode. There's going to be an option to state if this is a community call, so like just a specific question you have about your situation, or if it's a full-on episode request. Sometimes I will take the liberty and turn the question into a full-on episode if I do feel that that's the right course of action. But I monitor the comments closely, so do use them. If there's a comment in there that has a question that you would also like answered, go ahead and upvote or add a thumbs up to that comment. And for those of you on Spotify or listening to this only on audio, in that case, I would recommend going ahead and using the Google form if you don't want to come over to YouTube, and then request your episode or share your question that way. All right, well, that's it for this first episode. Once again, welcome to Healing with David. I'm so excited to take on this journey for myself, but also with you. And I'm so excited about all the people that I'm going to connect with and really dive deep with. So go ahead and drop a comment just to support or share any ideas or feedback. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episodes. Lots of love to you. May you each find health, meaning, and love. Bye.